By the time the Valley Season 2 reunion filmed, Jax Taylor still appeared to be unaware that Brittany Cartwright had exposed his not-so-secret Frank Dremon burner account on camera. During the third and final part of the cast sit-down, host Andy Cohen jokingly questioned if Frank Dremon was allowed in his bar, eliciting some confusion from Jax, and giddy laughter from his castmates who accused him of not watching the show. He eventually caught on, though, when Andy noted that Brittany outed him and asked him, "Who is Frank Dremon?" That's when Jax confessed, "It's my burner account, yeah." He also corrected Andy's pronunciation of Dremon, further explaining that his undercover Instagram handle was a nod to Leslie Nielsen's fictional character from the Naked Gun movie trilogy and Police Squad series in the 1980s and early 90s. However, Nielsen's character's last name was actually Dremon, not Dremon. "It's not a big deal," Jax casually reasoned, prompting both the Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen host and Brittany to remind him of some of the things he posted under the guise of his Frank Dremon alter ego. As for whether he's still commenting as Frank Dremon, Jax replied, "No, I haven't used that in a long while, actually." Jax Taylor's Instagram comments from his burner account. As Andy also pointed out on the Valley's Reunion Part 3, you commented on some post about you and said, "Jax is the man." Brittany, for her part, chimed in with such examples as, "Jax is the show. What man wouldn't feel this way? And he is the legend." Both when she first made the reveal to Janet Kiperna during Season 2, Episode 10, and on the Valley After Show, Brittany shared plenty more of Jax's cringy comments on fans' posts too. He was like, "Who wouldn't be mad if their wife was hooking up with their friend?" She added on the after show, "Just saying, like all kinds of crazy stuff." Other Frank Dremon comments referenced Jax's time in rehab, his and Brittany's divorce, and the show itself. How Brittany Cartwright knew Jax Taylor was Frank Dremon. As Brittany also reminded her ex on the Season 2 reunion, "You DM'd me on accident from the account, so it was, like, proof that it was yours." She'd actually discovered that exact DM on camera with Janet during Episode 10. He said, "Please answer the phone, like I did for you. I'm dead." It's like such proof that it's him. Brittany didn't exactly need evidence, though, as she explained that Jax had been using the Finsta for a very long time, and even previously admitted it was his account. "He told me about it, that was his account, that he would go look at things," she elaborated in a confessional. "I don't know if he forgot that I knew about it, but underneath all these posts, all of a sudden I see Frank Dremon." Jax Taylor reveals how he handles social media criticism. Jax, who also owned up to burner account during a June 2025 WHL appearance with Tom Schwartz, did not address his Frank Dremon alias prior to the reunion taping on May 2. He did, however, explain to an after-show producer how he was generally handling the public dialogue surrounding him. "I mean, obviously, I've been doing this for a long, long time. We all know how I dive into that state," Jax said, before admitting that negative social media comments sometimes ruin his day. "I've got people sticking up for me. I've got people who don't, and they're, like, going to war with each other. It's like, what is going on here?" he continued. "You can't engage because that's what they want you to do. That's the hard part, because I have a hard time not engaging. I get phone calls literally multiple times a week. 'Jax, stop engaging. Stop talking. Stop responding.'" The legend of Frank Dremon. The lights of the studio were a searing, unforgiving white, washing out the carefully applied makeup and making every tense expression on the cast's faces stand out in stark relief. For 3 hours, the air had been thick with unspoken resentments and carefully worded feuds, but now a strange, nervous energy had settled in. It was the calm before the final storm, a moment Andy Cohen, seated in his throne-like chair, was clearly about to initiate. Brittany sat beside Jax, a tight, fixed smile on her face. Her own stomach was a knot of anxiety and a flicker of vindication. She had dropped the bomb about the Frank Dremon account in a moment of unguarded honesty, never expecting it to become the central scandal of the season. Now, here they were, facing it head-on. She glanced at Jax. He was leaning forward, his brow furrowed in a posture of engaged confusion. He had a knack for looking genuinely baffled when he was in the hot seat, a talent she had come to know intimately. He truly seemed to be under the impression that this was all just a misunderstanding, a silly joke about a name. Andy Cohen, ever the maestro, leaned into the moment. "Jax," he said, his voice dripping with a fox-innocent curiosity, "is Frank Dremon allowed in your bar?" The question landed with the gentle thud of a joke only half the room was in on. A ripple of laughter spread through the cast, a sound that was both giddy and cruel. Janet Caperna, a conspiratorial grin on her face, nudged her neighbor. Jax, however, just blinked. "Frank Dremon," he repeated, his eyes scanning the room. "Who's that?" I don't know what you're talking about." The laughter swelled. It was the sound of a secret finally being shared with the one person it was kept from. He was the only one in the room who had missed the reveal, the only one who hadn't been watching the show they were all on. "You haven't watched the season, have you?" Andy prodded, the smile on his face growing wider. A nervous, defensive laugh escaped Jax's lips. "I'm a busy man, Andy," he mumbled. "I'm doing a lot of stuff. It's hard to keep up." The charade was over when Andy's tone shifted, becoming more direct. "Brittany, you outed him. He doesn't know what you're talking about. Who is Frank Dremon?" Brittany's smile faltered for a moment. This was it. The moment she had told the world about his secret life. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. "It's my burner account, yeah," Jax said, the words slipping out of him like air from a punctured tire. The defensive wall was gone, replaced by a casual, almost bored admission. He even corrected Andy's pronunciation, a detail that seemed to matter more to him than the fact he had just been exposed. "It's Dremon, actually. Like Leslie Nielsen in The Naked Gun. You know, Frank Dremon." "He told me about it," Brittany piped in, the words coming out in a rush. "A long time ago, that it was his account to look at things. I don't know if he forgot that I knew about it, but then I started seeing Frank Dremon commenting on everything." The memories of those moments, before the reunion, flooded back to her. The sting of betrayal had been sharpest not from the comments themselves, but from the pathetic, almost desperate nature of them. She recalled sitting on the sofa with Janet, scrolling through the burner account's history, her hand trembling. He was like, "Jax is the man, and he is the legend, and Jax is the show." She had told Janet, her voice a mix of disbelief and secondhand embarrassment. The creamy, self-aggrandizing comments were a bitter testament to the fragile state of their public-facing lives. But the most damning proof, the smoking gun, was the DM. The one he'd sent her by accident, in a moment of frantic desperation to get a hold of her. "Please answer the phone, like I did for you," she had read aloud, and the weight of the message had been crushing. It was a cry for attention from the very person who was supposed to be her partner, a strange, roundabout plea from his online alter ego. The account, meant to be a place of anonymous commentary, was leaking into their real lives, blurring the lines between Jax the man and Frank Dremon a legend. Back in the reunion studio, Jax shrugged again, attempting to dismiss the whole thing. "It's not a big deal," he insisted, as if saying it would make it true. Brittany's head snapped towards him. "It's not a big deal?" she asked, her voice incredulous. She remembered the comments he had made, the vitriol, and the pathetic defenses. "You commented on posts about our divorce, about rehab. You asked who wouldn't be mad if their wife was hooking up with their friend. It's all a big deal, Jax." The host jumped back in, a twinkle in his eye. "Are you still commenting as Frank Dremon?" "No," Jax replied, perhaps too quickly. "No, I haven't used that in a long while, actually." But the story wasn't just about the comments or the botched movie reference. It was about a man consumed by the online conversation, a man who, in his own words, couldn't stop himself from engaging. He had admitted it to an after-show producer, the camera capturing a rare moment of self-awareness. "I mean, obviously, I've been doing this for a long time. We all know how I dive into that." He had talked about the phone calls he got, multiple times a week, from people telling him to stop engaging, stop talking, stop responding. Sitting there, under the relentless gaze of the studio lights, Brittany saw it all crystal clear. Frank Dremon wasn't just a burner account, he was a manifestation of Jax's deepest insecurities. He was the version of Jax that could say all the things he couldn't say in his own name, the version that could defend himself without facing the consequences, the version that could be a legend in the show without anyone knowing it was him. It was a pathetic, cringy, and ultimately tragic attempt to control a narrative that had long since spun out of his grasp.